Hello again, and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Royal Report. I'm your Royal 2IC, and just to start things off, I just happened to click over and check my metrics just by an off chance, and I broke a new milestone where I now have crossed the threshold of over 1,700 subscribers. So, uh, not my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd ever get close to that number, and especially in a short amount of time. So, uh, thank you for everybody for the continued support and everything. It's been really, really fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing doing this and making all this for you guys. But with that being said, taking the notes in today's headlines report, I might ruffle a few feathers, so we'll see how many subscribers I've got after about 24 hours of this one. I'm going to start off with one and probably end with one that might be a little controversial. I will walk you through my thought process, and you feel free to disagree or agree. So, uh, without further ado, let's jump right into this one. Um, so, today there was the fourth prisoner exchange that took place between Hamas and Israel. It looks like Israel released 30 of their hostages, and then Hamas released 11 hostages, three of which were of France, two of Germany, and six were from Argentina. This looks like it will basically kick off another 2-day ceasefire agreement. Now, there is reports, though, of three IED attacks on IDF troops. There's reports of some gunfire, some explosions, some other fighting and whatnot. The only problem is there's no concrete proof evidence that an attack actually was taking place. Both sides are pointing the finger at each other and blaming each other, so it looks like something did happen, but there's no official mainstream of it as of yet. But it just looks like what we've got is basically some accounts and some other pictures and videos on social media that everybody seems to kind of be going off of. Now, that being said, I want to bring into account, and here we go, buckle up. When you hear on the different medias, whether it be mainstream or social media, and you hear that the prisoners coming out of Hamas are treated well. They're coming out and they're speaking to the press and different other people, and they're saying, hey, we were taken hostage and we were treated well. I find that to probably be true. Now, hear me out. Hamas has a lot to gain by treating the hostages well. One, they're an insurgency, and so they have to win the narrative. And what better way to do that than to take a small group of people hostage, treat them well, knowing full well they will be releasing those hostages in a negotiation to get something out of it. If you release hostages that were abused or tortured or treated poorly, and they come out of there with bruises and blood and everything else, it's bad optics for them. But in hindsight, if they release them unharmed and in good condition, and people come out and they say, no, we were treated well, it shapes the narrative in their favor for the world that when they go, hey, we have a few more hostages, there's more and more pressure to go, hey, we need to get those people out of there. So I tend to believe it. Now, that's the first ruffle of feathers. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. I tried to walk you through how I'm thinking about it. That's just the way that I put two and two together in my own head and my mind on that. You disagree, totally fine. Uh, it looks like there was some reports of some cyber attacks on Israel. The rumors seem to be that it might be from the cyber Avengers. And what it did is it targeted the residents of Israel, making them unable to contact any sort of emergency personnel. So, no fire, ambulance, police, anything like that. So, uh, it's kind of interesting, but data point. Now there's a report coming out, according to Sierra Leone. Leone, sorry, I can't read my handwriting. Sierra Leone, the Minister of Information. Looks like 13 military officers were arrested after a failed coup attempt. So it's an interesting one. I was not seeing that anywhere, wasn't even hinting at it towards anything along those lines. So, again, data point. Now, that's really all I found kind of out there. There was a second attack, and actually, I didn't even write that down into the world of news. There was a second attempted knife attack over in Ireland. Somebody pulled out a knife, shouted Allah Akbar. People stepped in, stopped it. Police arrived, arrested the person. So there was no injury or death or anything along those lines. Um, but again, it happened right in Dublin, Ireland again, and right after. And all this is going to do, because those protests never, they never stopped. So all it's going to do after that, even though it was unsuccessful, there was another attempt, and it very well could have been successful. So um, it's probably going to spark a lot more. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But it looks like the main headlines that I came up with is all kind of local here in the U.S. So to kick it off, it looks like the Municipal Water Authority in a town in Pennsylvania has reported that the water system was hacked by an Iranian hacker group. Uh, it's just an interesting data point. From what I found on it, there was only one report that came out and said it actually happened on Saturday. And I just found it. The report that I read that listed Saturday of it being the date that it took place was dated for today. It took all this time to gather that information and release it out. So again, interesting data point. Next is the Pentagon comes out and has refused to confirm reports that North Korea now has pictures from its new spy satellite of not only the White House and the Pentagon, but other various military bases and aircraft carriers. Now, the interesting part about this one is that North Korean media has posted pictures of what appears to be Kim Jong Un staring at a giant screen with timestamps of these exact places. So, unless they went way out of their way to fake this, it looks like this is true. So, I don't know why you would be denying it, but that's just what's mainstream being reported right now. Next one might make you laugh, and I'm trying to maybe put a little humor into this before I go into that next ruffle feathers one. So the United Nations is set to reportedly be going to give a official announcement to make a call on all people of the United States to reduce your meat consumption, all because of I'm not going to say it because of it'll probably get my wrist slapped. So because of this, yeah, there we go. I'm not doing it. You can ask me, you can tell me, you can demand me, you can do whatever you want. But cow, chicken, sheep, pig, it's all delicious. So I'm gonna keep eating that. Deer, turkey. I can keep going if you want. So it's kind of actually making me hungry, but okay, we'll move on. It looks like the Contra Costa Health in Richmond, California, has dispatched a hazardous materials team to do an investigation after an intense flaring and heavy black smoke was reported by citizens that came from the Chevron refinery plant due to an alleged power outage. Now, I don't know, I'm not an expert, obviously, in refineries and the way that they work. I would assume, if I had to make an assumption, that there's some sort of safeguard. So I would be very curious to see what comes out of this. That's why I include it in this report, because it is a very curious matter, and it's a very interesting data point. Now, usually when there's things on an infrastructure, which brings it back to the town in PA that had the cyber attack. It was very, very interesting that they went ahead and they put that out. Usually, when there is something that happens to infrastructure like that, the details are very, very scarce, and usually they disappear quite quickly. And a lot of that's for national security reasons. So I do understand it to a small extent. So data point, I wanted to put that out there. Could it be something nefarious? Absolutely. Could it just be an accident or some sort of power outage and some other failure or something? Yeah, I mean, I suppose it very well could. So we'll see. I don't actually expect anything else to come about this. It'll just slowly disappear in the news. Everybody will forget about it, and there you go. All right. So last on the list, and we'll see what comes of this one. This is the big one. So a heavily redacted, whatever you want to call it, it's not really a subpoena, but it was a, we'll call it a subpoena. I think they actually called it something else. Um, it was released today by a certain three-letter agency that I'll put right here. And it was to Twitter, and it was on former President Trump's account for that letter and that number. And it was to not only request full access to his account, but they requested full access to anyone who liked, or I think they call it hearted, but they liked, commented, retweeted, or made any comment with the mention of his account on or around that date. Now, here we go. Let me talk you through this so that way you can see where I'm thinking. You can be for or against the man. I don't care. It's none of my business. That's you. Okay. If you're a full grown adult, you like who you like and you dislike who you dislike, and it's going to have a good or a bad consequence. So you got to do your own research, and as long as you can live with the positive or negative consequence of it, then you make your decision. Okay, we're all adults here. My thing is you go the neutral route. It's a very dangerous thing. So if you had a Twitter account and you read former President Trump's tweet and you hit like, or you retweeted it, or you sent it to a friend, or whatever, congratulations, that three-letter agency now has full access to your account. And that's dangerous. And I don't care if you absolutely hate the man, because it sets a new precedent. Because if it can happen once, it can happen again. So to take it out, if you are all for Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith gets elected in 2024, and some sort of similar event happens, and you are on Facebook or you are on X or whatever social media, and you come across Mr. Smith saying something that you agree with, and you like it, you comment on it, you share it, you do whatever, and now the next person that comes in, we'll call them, I don't know, Mrs. Smith, comes into power, and now Mrs. Smith launches an investigation against Mr. Smith, and since you was interacting with Mr. Smith's account, congratulations, you are on now a government watch list. Just for simply pressing a heart symbol or a thumbs up symbol. So it's just a dangerous preset. I see the things all the time where people are so passionately for or against something, and I go, you know what? You got to put yourself that if it's used in the way that you like, it can also be used in a way you don't like against you. And it's a sad state of affairs right now because we live in a world to where people will eagerly listen to a lie because they agree with it or they enjoy the way that it makes them feel, and they will almost rebel or outright refuse the truth because they don't like it, they don't agree with it, even though it's very blatant truth. And you can take it down to a really silly way, and it's like your other half, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, they throw on a new T-shirt and they go, "Hey, honey, does this make me look fat?" And you go, "No, you look great." You know, I know there's probably a few of you laughing. It's a silly example of it, but instead of telling the person the truth, going, "You know what? That's really probably a little too small, or it just doesn't look right, or something along those lines," you don't want to speak the truth because it's not going to be good for them. They don't want to, they might take it bad or sad, hurt their feelings. And they don't want to be told the truth because their feelings will get hurt or, something like that. So you tell the lie and they accept the lie, and both of you know the truth. You do, you know. And it's one of them things that even here, I'll put on something I know is silly and I'll go, "Hey, how do I look?" And she will look at me and she'll go, "Oh, you look great," and both chuckle and whatnot. I know it's a silly example, and that's why I tried to use a silly example on this one to kind of lighten the mood from all this. So we'll see how everybody takes it. All I'm saying is, when it comes to the way that laws are and the way that things are taking place, you have to remember that when an event happens and people get emotionally involved and they get out in the streets, and no matter how intense it is, no matter if it's looting and rioting and windows smashed and fires are set and it lasts all summer long, usually the law that goes into effect that they're either protesting against or whatever, the laws tend to, or the rules or whatever you want to call it, tend to outlast the emotional onset of the people. So keep that in mind, that you have to, especially right now, keep your emotions in check. Don't have emotions run your life. Sit back, allow yourself to be calm. Don't get panicked. Don't get angry. Don't get big headed and cocky. Remain humble. Sit back with a clear mind. Think things through. It'll really, really help you in the end. Probably one of the best pieces of advice I can possibly give to you. So, with that, if you guys made it this far, hey, congratulations, you guys rock. Um, Quickly on the announcement, it is Tuesday, so that means tomorrow is the Workshop Wednesday live stream Q&A. Come hang out and have a good time with us. Also, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will release the 2.5 minute video on how to get into the Christmas tactical Christmas stocking giveaway. I'll put a little picture right there so that way you can see it and remember. Uh, that video will give you all the details on how you can enter to win it. You must comment and follow the directions on that video only. And then in 7 days from tomorrow, you must be live so that way I can pick the winner live during the chat, and you must claim it live during the chat, or else I'll pick somebody else. Well, if it goes 3, 4, 5 times, then so be it. But I want to be an actual subscriber that gets this. I want somebody that actually follows the channel and they'll get use out of it and be thankful for it. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you. I'm sorry I took up some of your time. I can see the little thing up here getting ready to tick the 20. So, thank you guys again so much for tuning in and for watching. God bless each and every one of you guys. Hope you have a really great night. Stay tuned. More information to come. And with that, remember above everything, remain united because we're all prepping in this together.